Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger. A while ago, during a video, I brought up the concept of a Mount Rushmore of fighting game characters, and that provoked some discussion, and I had to really think about who would I put on the Mount Rushmore of fighting game characters anyways. Mount Rushmore is an iconic American landmark. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Teddy Roosevelt, Abe Lincoln, presidents, synonymous with just Americana, right? So same deal, but fighting game characters. So who are the 4 fighting game characters that are most synonymous with the genre and just represent fighting games the best? I guess before we start, some ground rules have to be set just to make things fair. Firstly, one character from each franchise or affiliated franchise. Fighting games are ultra diverse, there's many kind of games, and it wouldn't be fair to the concept if it's nothing but Street Fighter characters, right? Because it would pretty much be 3 Street Fighter characters and somebody else. Secondly, it would be characters that are the best exemplars of their franchise, not just necessarily who your favorite characters are, right? Because if I was just going to do my favorite characters as a Mount Rushmore thing, it'd be something like Wolf from Virtua Fighter, Vice from KOF, T-Hawk, and Broly. So with the ground rules set here, let's start off with who is the first face. And for number 1, let's not kid ourselves. We all know who number 1 is with a smoking bullet. That is Ryu from Street Fighter. To even do this concept and not have him as the prime front-facing example would be foolish. I don't need to sell you on this, right? Ryu is not only the poster boy of Street Fighter, he's the face of the franchise, he's the poster boy, he's the face of the entire genre of fighting games. Any way you can slice it, he is the guy. I could just copy and paste his face here 4 times and it would be as equally valid as anything else. He is simply number 1 in every possible respect. Ryu is fighting games. End of story. So our very easy number 1 is out of the way, and once again here, as per our rules, we can only have 1 character per franchise or affiliated franchises, because I could just as easily say the next 3 slots go to Chun-Li, Ken, and Guile. You know what? That would still be kind of hard to argue. So for the sake of fairness, we are spreading it around. And let's talk now about the realm of SNK. SNK has been in the fighting game as long as Capcom, and they have tons and tons of hit franchises under their belt. Simply put, there is no shortage of characters to pull from. But when it comes down to brass tacks, you also gotta go with their poster boy just like the previous one. So Terry Bogard would be slot number 2. Terry has been in countless games since 1991, and Terry, he's still as relevant and ongoing these days as he was back in the day. Terry is the guy who spawned this concept for me, because I said if there was a Mount Rushmore of fighting game characters, he would have to be on it, and hey, after I took a critical look at it, I still stand by that statement. He has to be on it. For him, it's more than well deserved. He is timeless, he is always relevant, he has an iconic look, hell, he has multiple iconic looks, not really many people can lay claim to that, and he is a true classic in every possible measure. There is a reason why Terry gets to be guest characters in all sorts of different games, because Terry is a very marketable character. People know and like Terry Bogard. Like hell, for the whole Mount Rushmore thing, what I've been showing you guys in the background, this is literally Terry's stage as well, by the way. I think it first appeared in Fatal Fury 2. It's not the only stage in fighting games to have Mount Rushmore in it, but still, hey, there you go. But in many ways, he is directly comparable to Ryu in just about every metric, right? The only crime I could fault him for is overall he's less recognizable, I guess. But that's mostly because Ryu is on like that Mario, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man kind of tier. All other aspects, he's definitely deserving on being on the fighting game Mount Rushmore. So who exactly is next up? Well, we kind of gotta go with some of the more obvious franchises, right? As much as I would love it, we're not exactly putting Sasquatch from Darkstalkers on here, right? So that said, obvious franchises, we definitely have to turn an eye over to Mortal Kombat. It would be a shame to skip Mortal Kombat. And who exactly would fit? So this time around, I don't believe the poster boy should be on there. Liu Kang, main character of Mortal Kombat, sure, but does he really rate compared to some of his companions? And in that, I say no. So really, it is a toss-up. Who gets on here, Scorpion or Sub-Zero? That is the real question. And with that said here, a lot of people will probably say, well, Scorpion's the main character. He's Ed Boon's favorite, right? He's the more prominent of the two. And all that, I think that's a bit of a historical revisionist attitude, actually. Yes, it's Ed Boon's favorite character, the creator of Mortal Kombat, but was he really more popular? If you go back in the history of the franchises here, Sub-Zero has never missed a game. Scorpion has. Mortal Kombat 3 launched without Scorpion. Although yes, he was added eventually later on in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, he wasn't in the base game, and to me that says he wasn't as big of a concern, and to back that up, Sub-Zero got his own spin-off game, like only about Sub-Zero, right? So Scorpion missing games, missing key numbered titled launches, and not getting his own game when Sub-Zero did, and, you know, for anecdotally myself, right, as a kid growing up during that time, to me, Sub-Zero was way more popular than Scorpion ever was. The whole shift in the narrative came starting roughly around Mortal Kombat 9, when Ed Boon kind of pushed the narrative that Scorpion was the main guy over Sub-Zero, but back in the day, that definitely was not the case. If you put it to a more modern, just flat out popularity contest, do it like in a poll or something, looks like Scorpion barely edges out Sub-Zero, but being the Mount Rushmore themed video that this is and all about Americana, as you, my American friends, know, you can win the popular vote and still lose the election. So therefore, Sub-Zero goes on the mountain. And what about our final slot? Once again here, we've gone through quite a few franchises, and there's a million more franchises to go, but we gotta look at people who've really put their stamp on the history of fighting games, right? Something like a Battle Arena Toshinden is not a Street Fighter, and Aggressors of Dark Combat is not a Mortal Kombat. And I know some of you love it to death, but like a Bloody Roar is no King of Fighters. So when we're looking for that last game to like really make a big stamp here on our Mount Rushmore of fighting game characters, then we really have to look no further than Tekken. Of the core main fighting game franchises, Tekken has outsold everyone not called Mortal Kombat. Yes, Tekken has even outsold Street Fighter. And with that said, who do we take to represent Tekken? It's certainly not going to be based on like a protagonist, because all the quote-unquote main characters of Tekken are the Mishimas, and all the Mishimas are frankly assholes, right? Even in the best of times. Jin started good, but then, he kind of turned, right? So we gotta look at this then. Who's the real stalwart of Tekken? So you would think, well, maybe Jin, but Jin didn't show up until Tekken 3. He missed the first two games. Kazuya missed Tekken 3 as well, and the only guy to be there every time at bat when you're needed is Heihachi. And Heihachi, heck, when you talk about like memes about Tekken, right? The few things people know about Tekken who aren't even fighting game players, it's about being thrown off of volcanoes in some way, shape, or form. And when it comes to throwing people or being thrown off a volcano, well, Heihachi's a true master. But it is very safe to say if you played any amount of Tekken at all, you have touched Heihachi a bit or seen what he's about. And his crazy hairstyle definitely means his silhouette is definitely recognizable. Great look, iconic look, classic playstyle. He's been in every game in the franchise. He's probably the most recognizable character in the Tekken franchise, in my opinion anyways. And with all these things said, then he definitely makes for the fourth face on our fighting game Mount Rushmore. And that all said, that is my 4 picks. All 4 characters are incredibly important to the genre of fighting games themselves. They are all very famous in their respective games as well, and they are characters that even people who are not fighting game players can recognize. And of course, I wasn't going to make this video without turning it to you guys, so let me know what you guys think are the Mount Rushmore of fighting game characters. Now, ideally, it's not just your favorites, but if you can't help from posting your favorites, you know what, go for it. I already did it in my video. In fact, I'm going to do it again right here, and here, and here. So there you go. So that all said, hey, we're at the end of the video, so thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some fighting games.